What's up, guys? Thank you for tuning in to this week's episode of Smiles Per Hour. None of us had a race this past week, so we just talked about randomness this week. Everything from a little bit of sea otter recap to new FTP replacing metrics. I hope you guys enjoy. Let's get into it. You had a question for me?
I was wondering how you got Ian Boswell on your YouTube or whatever.
Well, you see, I had my social media manager DM him on Instagram and make some plea about how I was only 17 and it would mean so much to me if he would come on my podcast. And
You
he
can't play
said,
that card forever,
sure.
you know?
When can I stop playing that card?
So I feel like I just reached that age because I was updating my pitch deck for next year, and last year's was like, Nina's only 22 years old, but has, done this race and that race. And then this year I looked at it and I was like, well, I don't know if I want to put like Nina is only 23 years old. That sounds like just not right. But
Nina is
continue.
old and has glasses,
I just got
and she
contacts
needs
actually.
help.
Okay, but continue. So, how was Ian on the podcast?
It was fun, yeah. I had him on along with Samuel Schnepp to talk about Barry Roubaix because Ian won and Sam got fifth. So I wanted to hear what was happening up at the front of the race rather than back where I was.
Yeah, I feel like the real question shouldn't be how did you get Ian on the pod? It's like, how did you get Sam on the pod?
I know he was so busy. He had more time frame restrictions than Ian did.
I
He's like,
believe
I
it.
haven't I have so many exams. I'm like, okay.
I'll wake up and his workouts are like, it's like he just uploaded a Training Peaks workout, and I'm like, is that from yesterday? And it's like, nope, that was just from 4 a.m.
Yeah. I'll never understand people that can do that on a consistent basis. I'm willing to do it like maybe once a month. I'll get up at like 4:30 before the sunlight and have fun doing it, but not every day.
Last week.
Yeah.
Rostin, what's the
Yeah.
craziest like time that you've besides 24 hop like for training?
I think when I first started training, I would consistently get up at like 5 or 6 a.m. and ride the trainer before school. So I don't really know why, because I think I could have done it later, but yeah, I didn't know what I was doing. So
No,
Yeah.
I used to wake up at 5 or 6 and do like core in my bedroom, and then after school I'd like run home and either try to get the last of the daylight or jump on the trainer. Um, and I wasn't very nice to my brother at times when I would run out of water because I didn't want to get off the trainer. So, what about you,
Yeah.
Job?
The earliest I've ever gotten. Oh, I don't even know. There was one time that I had no time in the afternoon on a Sunday, but I didn't think about that until Saturday, and I had like a 4-hour ride. So I woke up at like it had to be 3:30 in the morning to get this 4-hour ride done before church.
Oh, if I have a long ride coming up, I'm already thinking about it like 4 days in advance, at
Yeah, I'm
least.
like that now, but I did not used to be.
Yeah.
what's your guys' limit for how much sleep you'll cut versus when you'll just skip the ride?
I don't think I
'Cause
have a limit.
I'm like, it basically never happens, but I feel like if I had to like get less than like 7 hours of sleep, I would just skip the ride.
Yeah, I think that no matter how little sleep I get, I just think of it like a race. Like I don't really care how much sleep I get the night before a race, because that's what everyone tells you is that that night doesn't matter. So I just take the same approach when I have a long ride. But then sometimes the if I have a ride the day after that, that one will be pretty miserable.
Yeah, I kind of agree with Job. Like, as long as I wake up and I feel excited for the ride and not like I want to go back to bed, then I'll ride. But yeah, I feel like if even if I do need to wake up early for to ride because I'm like busy later that day and I don't have time later that day or just trying to avoid rain that's coming in like this morning, I I can probably count on one hand how many times I've had to wake up by my alarm. Like I'll set it on this like goes for race mornings too. And like mornings I have to wake up and catch like a really early flight. Like I'll set an alarm just in case, but I'll always wake up like 5, 10 minutes before it goes off. And the few times it has gone off and woken me up, it's absolutely traumatizing. And I know that day is just ruined. Like I'm gonna be so cranky that day.
Have you ever
Um,
seen light therapy
so yeah, I just
alarms?
naturally wake up and feel like ready to go super early.
Yeah, I've seen those. It seems like that would be so nice to like just wake up
Yeah,
from light.
it just yeah, my friend has one, and he said that it changed his entire morning life. I just don't know, like, where are you supposed to put that? Are you supposed to dangle it over your head so that it blinds you, or is being in the corner enough? Because I don't feel like if a light was on in the corner of my room, it would wake me up. And they're the most overpriced lamps in the world. It's like $50 for a light that wakes you up in the morning.
I'm pretty, the ones I've seen are like three, like in the hundreds.
Oh, wow, that's even worse.
Maybe those are the ones for like depression though. Don't ask why I was researching them.
Do you buy it in like a level? If you struggle this much to wake up, you need this brightness. But if you struggle this much to wake up, you're gonna need level 5.
You need some really bright lights, like the ones that they have in the hospitals, like that.
Oh, that's miserable.
No,
Have
I've
either of you
actually,
ever had a surgery?
well, before we go into into
Yeah, you
that,
finish your thought.
um, like the thing with the lights actually is scientifically based. Like natural sunlight in the morning, especially if you can feel the sunlight on your face, um, helps you wake up and you're gonna have more
Hmm.
energy throughout the day.
Yeah.
Um, and I've been like bad. That's a habit that I've been trying to adopt recently because I noticed I get up and I immediately go to my computer to do work, and eat breakfast. And even if I just like open the window, and just get a little bit of sun or just like let the dog out, point my face towards the sun for a little while, like that actually gives me a major boost. Um,
Hmm.
so I can see
Yeah.
how during the winter months or like when it's if you live somewhere that's like really dreary all the time, having like a artificial sunrise could help. Like in
Does
Iceland.
do the artificial lamps uh like suppress your melatonin as much as the actual sunlight does?
I don't know. I don't know that. Um,
Because in
because I
my
think that
mind,
they
like,
do still give off heat.
uh,
Like they can get pretty hot, so it mimics it pretty closely, but I don't know, like, if you were to compare it with like real sunlight coming in through the window from the morning, like I haven't looked into that per se. But yeah, I've learned a lot about the different strategies in Scandinavia. Just like living in months where it's like very limited sunlight. Um, you'll see, like, hopefully we catch a good week there and we'll get 1 or 2 days of sun when we're there for the Rift in Iceland. But um, most days it's overcast um and in the winter, like the sun doesn't really come out. It's kind of nighttime all the time. So it's kind of like the extreme. I don't know how they train, honestly.
Yeah, they must have a big market share in selling flashlights.
Flashlights. What did you ask about surgeries, Joe?
Ah, yeah, you mentioned the bright lights in a hospital. Have either of you had a surgery where you had to wake up to the bright lights? It's
No.
so miserable. I had no idea what was happening, and there was some lady standing over me, and she was like trying to explain to me that I had bitten my lip while I was asleep, and that I was bleeding, and I just heard "you're bleeding," and I was slightly concerned that they were telling me I was bleeding, but I was awake.
Was that a bike injury?
Yeah, it was when I broke my arm.
How did that happen?
Um, I was bored, so I rode my mountain bike instead of my gravel bike, and I don't know how to ride a mountain bike. And I crashed on a small jump, and I hit the ground and snapped my arm in half.
That's horrible.
But the Garmin tracked the jump and gave me a good score, so it was all worth it.
Yeah, Rawson, do you keep like the jump beeps on your head unit?
Yeah, I think it's on just because I don't know how to turn it off. But yeah, I don't like pay attention to it or anything.
You
Half
don't
the
check your
time it like
scores after?
no, half the time it beeps even if I don't jump. So like if you like go down a dip or something, thinks you jumped.
Yeah, it's definitely not the most perfect feature. And then it'll tell me, like, you had 15 feet of horizontal motion. I'm like, there's no way I just jumped 15 feet. It went over a rock.
I like the morale boost when it beeps and I'm like, yeah, that was a sick. I just got some sick air right there.
Yeah, I wonder if I can set up mine to talk to me after every time I jump, tell me my score.
We know that your Garmin can talk, Job.
But it's the best feature. We're in the middle of Appalachian Journey a few weeks ago, and Drew asked me, "Do you leave the talking on to keep you company while you're riding?" And that's when I realized it was a problem.
Do you
Yeah, I
guys
mean, it
pay
gets
attention
lonely out
to?
there.
Do you guys pay attention to the recovery score that Garmin gives you? I had to turn
Absolutely
that
not.
thing off. Like it got so annoying. That and the
Mine is
training
always
status.
red. Oh, the training status is annoying too. It just tells you you're unproductive or overreaching all the time.
Yeah.
They need like an elite mode that gives you more free will.
There was this reel that I saw. I just found it. It basically, ah, okay, and basically it said like it had like the Garmin. You probably can't see that, but it's basically like, would you like to share this workout or bury it forever? Consider a rest day and perhaps a different hobby. You ran? I must have blinked. Recovery time 72 days. Performance
Yeah.
conditions spiritually unwell. Unproductive again. At least you're consistent. Fitness age, retirement home, emotional age, middle school track meet. Would you like? Yeah.
Oh, that's amazing.
It was so relatable. And then apparently, so like one of my good friends, Nell, who I raced the Swiss Epic with, um, she was telling me that she was like, I always was kind of skeptical of how accurate the Garmin was in terms of like heart rate and stuff. And she'd wear it on rides, and she also would have a heart rate strap. And there was one ride where the strap of her watch broke. So she put it in her pack, and she gets back, and it had like all of her heart rate data from the entire ride that like wasn't synced to like her heart rate monitor. It was just like guessing what her heart rate was for the rest of the ride. Um,
Yeah.
so that was kind of sus.
I'm pretty sure if you point it at any fluid, it'll try and guess, because that's how it determines it from your blood, is just by shining a light at it. Should test that sometime.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure I
I
have heart rate PRs from when my heart rate strap wasn't working, so I just took it off and put it in
mm-hmm.
my pocket. And I'm pretty sure I have like a 5 hour PR at like 230.
Yeah, I had a strap break like that too. I
Yeah,
had a
none of my
Wahoo strap, and it lasted like a month before it just read 200 all the time.
yeah, none of my 5 second power records on Training Peaks are accurate just because of power meters that were on the brink of death. Rosalind, have your power meters or like your coin batteries for your power meter and your mountain bike been like dying kind of quick?
Mm, I think I'm pretty sure it like died and then came back to life. Like it was dead and I just didn't care because I wasn't riding it that much, and then like, and then it was working for Sea Otter again. So I don't know. Usually, if you just
Used an
take them in and
iffy
out,
battery for Sea Otter.
what?
You used like an iffy battery for Sea Otter?
Yeah, I guess.
Do you normally just race by feel and not look at it?
I never look at power basically unless it's like for a really specific reason. But if I'm just racing, I don't. Do you guys look at power while you're racing?
I only look at it when I'm pulling or on a long climb. Otherwise, I don't. But I want to make sure I'm not pulling too hard or gonna blow up.
I pretty much look at it the whole race. It's kind of, yeah, it's kind of bad. Like, I should probably look up and around.
Yeah, I
What
like
do you,
heart rate more for pacing, honestly.
yeah,
Because
I
I feel
agree
like
with
in
that.
a race, power is just jumping around so much that like it's hard to really know what you're doing.
Yeah, I think it depends on the race too.
If you're like in a group and you think your power's too high, will you let yourself get dropped, or do you just stop looking at it?
It depends how high it is. Like if I'm at like VO2 max and I know I could maybe last like 10 more minutes with that group, like I'm just gonna let myself get dropped. But if it's like just kind of surgy because people are pulling at the front too hard and then rotating back, like all right, like I'll let that slide. Um, and I do look at heart rate like more, I feel like. But I also know like once I burn out my top end power, it's kind of hard to get that back, especially if it's like a hot day, or I'm already just like carb depleted. Um,
Yeah. Roston, I've seen everyone talking about the first section of Sea Otter with the climb and the descent, and I don't think you talked about that much last time. I was curious how that played out for you. I saw you in a clip. You looked like you were going very fast.
you were on
Yeah,
GCN.
yeah, um, yeah. I just tried to survive it. Yeah, like I definitely underestimated how hard it was going to go up that. Or I knew it would go up the climb really fast, but I underestimated that since there's going to be gaps, I thought it would like, I guess I underestimated how fast we could go down that descent. Like I just assumed we'd kind of be spun out and like recovering more or less. Also, when I pre-rode, I think I had a tailwind, so I was like underestimating how or overestimating how fast the descent was. But it's like I guess you can pedal a lot more down it than I thought. So yeah, I just like survived the paved climb and then like made up some spots on the descent just based on like not braking on the corners basically. Um, yeah, I like everyone was saying how scary the descent was, but I felt like it was like super fast, but it wasn't that bad. I don't know. Yeah, it was fun.
Yeah. What tire setup were you running for that? Because I've also heard a lot of people say that they regret their mountain bike tires because of all the road sections.
Yeah, yeah, I'm definitely in that same boat. I had Race Kings. Um, yeah, if I were to do it again, I probably would do like Pathfinders or yeah, just like a normal gravel tire. Um, yeah, I think the gravel is just like so smooth out there too. Like not only the road sections, but the gravel is like probably the smoothest gravel that you can possibly ride. Like it's loose, but I was also getting a bit annoyed on the descents because would either feel like I was like going super slow down the descents and like with the group I was with, or I would like go at my own pace and then be like off the front of the group, which then it I feel like you also just like waste energy doing that because then you're like starting the next section like in the wind and just getting like reeled in or whatever. So yeah, I definitely would have gone with like normal gravel tires if I would have done it again. So
Yeah, it's definitely an interesting thought when all you hear on social media and stuff is how much better that the wider tires are. And I feel like this off season I kind of forgot that like sometimes the mountain bike tires aren't the best option. And I think we saw at that race that a bunch of people also forgot that.
For
What kind
sure.
of gearing did you what kind of gearing did you run for that quick descent? Because I remember when we were in Brevard, you were saying you were going to need to get a bigger chain ring.
yeah, so I ordered the bigger chainring like 2 weeks before, and then it got here. I ordered a 46, or I think 46, and then it was the wrong one. I ordered like the old X-Sync one, I guess. Um, and so yeah, I just had to use the same. I like called all the bike shops, and none of them had anything bigger than like a 40. So I was like a little worried for that first descent that I was going to be spun out, but it was actually not a problem. So yeah, so
Yeah,
I just had the 40 tooth chain ring, super small, and then the like, what is it, 1042 cassette, whatever on the back.
I bet you had the smallest chain ring for the highest placing.
Maybe.
Weird flex, but okay.
It's a good statistic to have, especially when you see those front guys running like massive chain rings. And then Chase Wark did a post the other day about the chain ring he ordered for Unbound, and it's like a 52 or something. And I'm like, why is this necessary? Nina, what chainring do you typically run since
Oh, I knew the question was coming. Um, whatever came on my bike.
40?
Kind of, yeah. But I feel like I typically lean towards something where it's like more spinny just because the races I typically do um have like steep punchy climbs or just like riding around Brevard. I feel like I need that.
Oh, Nina died. Hopefully she'll be back soon. Rostin, do you ever consider changing your gearing per race?
Um, Not so much on the gravel bike. Uh, yeah, usually on the gravel bike, I usually like have a smaller chain ring for training, especially in the summer when I'm doing like a lot of climbing and want to like still go easy. And then I'll usually just have like a bigger chain ring I put on for like every race. And then on the mountain bike, it will change like pretty much always a 36. And then if it's like more climbing, then I'll do, yeah, a little smaller.
Yeah, that's interesting to me because that's never even a concept I've considered, but I've also never done a mountain bike race, so I don't know. Nina, you're back.
Yeah. Yeah, my internet cut out. I think it's because I have too many tabs open, but I'm not going to close any of them.
Yeah, why would you do that?
Yeah, why would I? Well, I was going to mention Rawson if you wanted to talk a little bit about um, critical power and how you were
Yeah,
wanting to mess around
Yeah.
with testing for that.
I've been very curious about this since you mentioned it.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess I first started thinking about switching over to critical power like towards the end of last year. Um, just for various reasons. I think like I started looking into I feel like everyone just assumes like all 20-minute power minus 5%. Um, and I feel like so many people use that without like questioning the accuracy. And then I kind of dug into the research and found like a lot of mixed stuff. Like some was saying like that method 20 minutes and then taking 5% off was like accurate. Some saying that's not accurate. Some even showing that even hour power wouldn't estimate um, like true lactate threshold. And then there's like the protocol of doing a anaerobic effort and then the 20-minute test, and it just was like all very mixed as to whether any of those protocols were accurate. Um, and then, yeah, looking into critical power, it looked like that was a more well researched um, method for measuring kind of that I guess upper like aerobic power, and then you also get some other metrics with it like W prime, which I think can be useful, and it kind of gives you a bigger picture. Instead of just doing like one 20-minute test, it gives you kind of a broader picture of your whole power curve as well. Um, so I kind of figured, yeah, it would be good to switch over and kind of use it. And so yeah, I did some testing and yeah, have a good number I'm working with and was able to get some other data from it as well, which was nice. And yeah, we'll see how it will work out like long term using it. I'm still like I don't know if it will end up being more valuable or not, but I guess we'll see.
Hmm. Yeah,
So
and oh, go
is
ahead,
it
Joe.
a is it just a separate method for finding your lactate threshold, or are you working with a completely different number now?
Yeah, so usually critical power, from what I understand, is a bit higher than like FTP, but it is like trying to get to the same sort of idea of what FTP is, or I guess I guess like people confuse FTP with lactate threshold too, and I guess I think the true definition of FTP is like the power you can hold for like an hour, I think, or But yeah, so
Hmm.
critical power is like trying to get to the same idea of like what's like the power you can hold for a extended duration. Like I've heard anywhere from like 20 to 40 minutes. So it's a bit higher than FTP, but it's kind of trying to get to that same idea. I guess the idea is that critical power, you're producing energy mostly aerobically, and when you're below critical power, able to you're not producing energy like super anaerobically, and you can uh, be replenishing your anaerobic stores, and then as soon as you go above critical power, you're depleting that anaerobic energy.
Yeah. Critical power is that theoretical threshold they're talking about where you're transitioning from a more sustainable aerobic workload to anaerobic work. Um, so I think in theory, like critical power is like the highest average power somebody could hold indefinitely, without fatigue building up too fast. Um, it's like a,
Indefinitely if fueling and recovery was perfect.
yeah,
Okay.
um, I think so. Um, but yeah, FTPs, that on the other hand is like, yeah, the highest power you can hold for about an hour. Um, and I think that why I think critical power might be a good fit for you, Roston, is given how strong your anaerobic capacity is, and I think FTP can underestimate um, your actual true aerobic engine, because it doesn't account for how much like anaerobic reserves or gas per se you're burning to get through like a 20-minute effort. Um, and yeah, like CP, because you're using efforts of different period like lengths. You did the 1 minute and the 6 minute. I think like some tests even do like 12-minute tests. That gives you a much more well-rounded picture. And you also mentioned the W prime. And that's specifically the amount of anaerobic work you can do above that critical power before you fatigue. Um, so that's like how long you can go hard for. Um, when you go above that CP limit. Um, and yeah, what did you like overall like find out about those numbers, Ralston? Like CP versus W prime, at least for your own tests.
Yeah, I guess I found out I do have like a stronger uh, W prime than I would have thought.
Hmm.
Um, and then, yeah, and then I guess I was kind of the reason I did the testing was because I wanted to get a good 6 minute power test to use that as a like estimate of my max aerobic power. Um, and then that would give me an idea of what I need to work on in training based on like FTP or CP, whatever you want to use for like the floor, like using the floor ceiling analogy. If 6 minute power is your ceiling and then something like critical power is your floor. So I did that 6 minute test and then I was like, oh, I might as well do a shorter test too and get critical power. So yeah, I found out I had have a stronger anaerobic capacity than I would have thought, and then I found out that that ceiling is a lot higher than I thought it was, and I still have plenty of room to keep pushing that floor up, I guess.
Well, I think you like double or tripled your previously set like 1 minute power record. It was like a lot higher.
That's so much.
I haven't done a 1 minute effort for like 2 or 3 years, so
Wow. So Nina, you were defining W prime. Is it a number or a time?
It's a number.
it's measured in kilojoules. So I actually haven't honestly looked into the W prime side of things as much, but from what I understand, it's measured in kilojoules, so it's the amount of work you can do in kilojoules above critical power before before fatiguing and not being able to do anything essentially, from what I understand.
Okay, so it's not a power number, but it's just a cumulative kilojoules number. That makes sense. Interesting.
There are a lot of different training methods, you know. I got a little bit of insight into the Trainer Road AI program. Um, a friend of mine, her husband, I guess, decided to sign up with Trainer Road back in October or November or something of last year. Um, I think it was pretty cheap, like $300 for the whole year. So he was like, all right, I'm gonna do this. And he was following it, and it would give him endurance rides and interval days. And so he started off with these endurance rides, and he already off the bat was going over maybe 20, 30 minutes, sometimes an hour on these endurance rides. And so the algorithm would say, like, okay, he did more work than he was supposed to, and they would either swap his upcoming interval days with another endurance ride or just keep pushing those interval days. Um, and so it ended up that he didn't he didn't end up doing any intensity or intervals. Well, probably he did intensity like just on group rides and stuff, but he didn't do any structured intervals since November because
Oh,
the algorithm just like kept pushing his intervals and thinking that like his endurance rides were just too depleting.
That's interesting.
Yeah. And he's pretty strong right now. Yeah.
have any
That's a
of
lot of base
you,
training.
have either of one of you heard about the world tour teams using breath rate as measuring intensity? I just
Hmm.
listened to a podcast on that.
Was that the one with
It's
Steven
super
Seiler?
interesting. Um, oh yeah, I listened to that one and then another one on the Roadman podcast. I think. Yeah, I think that's gonna be super interesting.
Hmm.
Do they have a more advanced way of measuring that, or are they just using like the Garmin heart rate strap version? Because I find that to be very sporadic and inaccurate. I've tried to use it before.
It sounds like I think it was what team was using. I forgot the team that was using it. One of the big world tour teams. They have access to a new. I think it is a strap that actually measures the expansion of your chest. So yeah, it's much more accurate than like the estimated one that you're getting from like heart rate.
Yeah, that's definitely interesting. I've heard of that before, but I hadn't heard that there was a way to accurately measure it now. But that makes so much sense that it just literally measures when you expand your chest.
Yeah.
And that would be like a more accurate measure of effort than RPE, right? I think that's what they were
In
saying.
yeah, in theory, it should be better than power, heart rate, or RPE because power or heart rate lags. Like when you do an effort, like you could like go all out in like a 30-second sprint and be gasping for air, and heart rate might be like still in tempo.
Hmm.
And then power obviously is a measurement of work, not intensity. And so, and then even like lactate can be like affected by a bunch of different things. So I think like from what they were saying, like breathing rate should be like the absolute best like measurement of intensity.
What if you're a really
Yeah,
shallow
because
breather and you're just trying to hide that you're gassed?
they need extra calibration on that rider.
Yeah.
In theory, everyone's been talking about like Oh, and there's a continuous lactate monitor, but that would have the same problem as heart rate, wouldn't it? Because your lactate wouldn't build up in your blood instantly, or would it?
Hmm.
I'm not really sure. I think, I guess, I don't know. I mean, I know like lactate can be like suppressed with like fatigue, um, and I think yeah, for shorter efforts, maybe it wouldn't be good. But yeah, I'm not sure.
Yeah, I don't think it's like as like a direct measure of the effort you're putting out. Um, in terms of like breath rate, it's like one for one. But yeah, like there are other variables that affect heart rate, lactate, power, etc. And breath rate is like gonna be stable. And I think that's what they were getting at. Um, so yeah, instead of RP, I'm just gonna be like, how many times do you breathe during your ride?
Yeah. I wonder also if part of it has to do with like lactate, just like power, it's a measure of just effort because if you go that hard, then you're going to be burning sugar instead of oxygen just because you don't have any. But your breathing is so subconscious, but it's also from your brain. So I wonder if it'd be better than RPE because you can't quantify RPE perfectly, but your subconscious can quantify how fast you should be breathing for the effort.
I looked it up, and so yes, lactate levels can indeed lag behind the exertion during exercise. So this means that lactate accumulation in muscles and blood might not be a direct reflection of the intensity of the work being performed. Specifically, at exercise intensities above lactate threshold, the production of lactate can outpace its removal, leading to a buildup. And that's where you see like the really sharp increase in the curve of lactate. Um, so yeah. When was your last FTP test, Job?
I took it a few weeks before I came to Brevard, so what month was that? It was probably in February.
Nice.
And there are no climbs where I live to take a test, so it was
Oh
on
boy.
dead flat road. Dead flat road, and I wanted to do it with a tailwind, but I couldn't find a road going east to west that didn't have any stop signs or stop lights, so I had my mom come with me and block traffic for my FTP test. And we made it a lot further than we thought I was going to, and she had to pace me through a 4-lane highway with 17 seconds left on the test.
I'm sorry. I just since you started that story, Rawson has just been like holding in his laugh, and then I had to mute my mic because I was just like laughing so hard.
Yeah, it was pretty great. And I
Your
was in
mom's
so much
awesome.
pain that I didn't even notice. Yes, my mom is awesome. She'll create her own route for races besides the race course route just so that she knows how to drive to as many points where she can spectate as possible. I think I saw her 12 times in my last race.
That's impressive.
Yeah. I told her she should start publishing those for other spectators on a website.
Yeah. Yeah, or like submitting it to like the event, being like, hey, this is a good resource
Yeah.
for spectating. Yeah. What's up next for you guys?
Unbound.
Oh yeah, we talked about this.
Hmm.
Yeah.
It's still unbound until unbound
It's
happens.
still unbound. Yes. It's all that's on our minds.
Are you gonna run the disc wheel?
I am. It's currently the painting is being finalized.
You want to
And do I want to what?
explain this contraption?
Sure. So, my disc wheel is not a disc wheel, it's just a cover on my standard set of wheels that I made with inspiration from a GCN video that one of my friends sent me, and Chase Wark said it was a good idea, so I decided to do it. All you need is ABS plastic sheets, which you can order on the Home Depot website with free delivery, as well as ABS glue, Home Depot website, free delivery. In the end, with some extra zip ties and tape, it was like $45 for a homemade disc wheel. And I ran it at Croatan this year, and it didn't fall apart. So I'm thinking I'll probably run it at Unbound. I also
How many
did.
watts does that save?
Oh, it probably adds watts. At Croatan, it didn't fall apart, but it was rubbing on my brake caliper the whole race. Just a little bit. It's just to scare everyone else. For the media. My Unbound bike is going to be atrocious. You guys aren't going to want to be around me at the expo because my bike is so ugly.
Lauf is gonna
You keeping your
disapprove.
you keeping your tiny bars on for Unbound?
Absolutely. I was riding today and my elbows were uncomfortable, and I think it's because my bars are too wide.
Why don't you put regular bars on and then put aero bars on? That'll be way faster.
Yeah, I did think about that, but here's what I came up with. If I can just make the elbow cup things that aero bars have, then I can use my 360 camera as the extension, and then I can have the little bars and aero bars.
But can you stay in that position for 10 hours?
I'll get back to you on that one. Are you gonna run aero bars for the 100?
Uh, I don't know if I maybe we can, but no, because I don't want to
Yeah,
deal with it.
yeah, I feel like that's not as beneficial, especially when you're probably anticipating being in the hunt for the win. So. But you could go off the front from the gun.
Mm. Yeah, I feel like I can never do as much power in that position, and it takes like forever to like get the position perfect and comfortable, and I am honestly just don't want to do that. And then like in the actual race, I feel like I don't actually spend that much time in them because I'm just like in the like on the wheel, and then I guess it would be nice like when you're pulling through maybe, but I feel like that's sort of a marginal gain at that point.
Yeah, that's kind of my mindset about not getting a set is that I'm at least hopeful that I'll have at least one person to ride with for the majority of the time. Maybe that's being optimistic, but we'll see.
Yeah, you'd be surprised, even at these like huge events, to find yourself in no man's land.
Yeah, for sure. That was a nice tent you found, Nina, in Mach 1 development yellow.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm excited. We still need to hash out the details for feed zone stuff. Because I think that if I don't know if I'm going to be able to support both of you guys.
I'll have
Um,
a whole crew, so
you will
don't
have an
worry about me.
entire Hutchison team of like 20.
Yeah,
And if I'm just doing the 100, I don't know if it's gonna be even worth like to set it up before rushing to like the next one. But depending if it's like pouring rain, like I guess we'll see. But yeah, it'll be nice to have, even if we end up doing an expo in the future. I was looking at Big Sugar as a potential. Um,
Yeah.
having a
Big
nice,
Sugar's got a good expo.
yeah, nice yellow tent for it.
Yeah. I was I ordered tires yesterday. I got some Dubnatals, and I was thinking as soon as I ordered them, should I have ordered a smaller set of tires as well in case it's raining? What are your thoughts?
What size did you order?
2.2.
I think for the front, you're gonna have enough clearance.
So I should just order one more tire just in case.
Ralston, what's your take?
Mm, yeah, I would say like the front you have since the with like the fork and the travel, you have a lot of clearance, but yeah, maybe they're I don't know. I mean, you also like might want to look into like getting a tire that clears mud good because the Race King I think will pack up pretty easily because there's like so many grooves for mud to pack into. Um, so yeah, you might want to think about getting like a semi slick tire or something.
Yeah. Do you have any recommendations for that?
I'll probably bring Race Kings, like just the Race Kings I have, and then I'll probably order like some 47 Pathfinders, and those will be my two options.
Yeah, that is a good one. The new one or the old kind?
Mm, I don't know.
Yeah.
I didn't know there was a new one. Or wait,
Yeah, they
for the
just
Race Kings or
released
the
new Pathfinder.
Pathfinders?
There's
Oh,
new Pathfinders now.
huh. I did not know that.
I didn't
Yeah,
know that
apparently
either.
they're like faster. Yeah, Specialized refreshed their whole tire line. There's new Pathfinders, and now there's this thing called a Tracer or something that's different. Apparently they're fast. Drew and Trey from the bicycle station did a bunch of tire testing yesterday, so they should have a video testing all of the new tires soon. He told me that there were some interesting findings.
Cool.
Yeah,
Wait, Job, if you were to set up your ideal mountain bike, how wide would the bars be on it?
I have no idea. I've never ridden a mountain bike that fits me.
Okay.
The only time I've owned a mountain bike that was like my mountain bike and not my dad's mountain bike, it was still too big for me because it was just a really good sail and I never grew into it. So I've never ridden like a good mountain bike. I have no idea.
Well, if you did, would you be open to the possibility of maybe using a piece of equipment that meets your needs,
that better suits my needs.
that better suits your needs and
This
your
is what the bike fitter told me.
geometry?
He said
When,
it in the nicest way possible.
oh, yeah, when looking at the bars.
He could have just said, "Your bars are stupid. Go get something else." But he
Yeah.
was nice about it.
Yeah.
But I will not be buying new handlebars.
No.
Definitely not wider ones. I've looked for narrower ones. They're hard to find. You can't even get the ones I have in America anymore.
Didn't they try to sue you or something?
They were they did threaten legal action if I did not destroy the set that I have. But then I tried to buy a new set and they didn't have them in the size I wanted, and then she stopped responding to my emails. So I think I'm good. Because The other day I was contemplating the whole aero bar thing, like Rostin suggested, and if you buy one size bigger than the one I have, it has space to put on clamp-on aero bars, but you still can't buy them here. Which is a shame because they were actually a good price too.
Hmm.
So, Nina, you know the bars you told me to get?
The Prime Primaveras?
Yeah. So I was putting those on before Sea Otter, and they have no torque specs written on the
Oh
bars. So
no.
I just I did like what most bars recommend, which is like what 5 Newton meters.
Yeah.
Um, so I'm clamping down or it actually was the hood clamp. So I don't know what you're supposed to do those two, but I was just like, oh, 5 Newton meters should be good. That's like usually what is recommended for carbon bars, and I'm just like twerking it down, and I just hear like cracking when the like plastic pushed into the bar and just like cracked the
Oh
thing.
my
So
gosh. Really?
Wow.
yeah,
Yeah,
so I
hood
ended up putting on aluminum bars, and I'll probably just keep using those, so I don't have to worry about it.
hood clamps 4 to 8 Newton meters. Bruh.
Yeah,
5 is in
I'm
between
pretty. It
4
was
and 8.
4 or 5. Like it
That's
wasn't even tight enough to get it to stop moving. Like it was still wiggling when you
dude,
like barely pushed on it.
that's some BS. That didn't happen to me. They lasted through thick and thin for 2 years. That's just bad luck. Were you able to
Yeah.
return them
That's
or
really
get like a
strange.
warranty?
Um, I'm gonna try if it's not too late.
You should probably try.
Yeah.
Dang. Well, that's
Yeah.
tough.
I had I had an oversized pulley wheel. The bearing fell out of it when I was riding the other day.
I saw that.
That was not ideal. We have the weirdest mechanicals over here.
Yeah, and then you got a what was it called? You got like a tool like stuck in your axle earlier this
Oh,
year?
no, the axle got stuck in the bike.
Oh,
I was trying to take my bike apart to put it in the bike bag to fly to Hawaii, and the rear axle would not come out. And I took it to a bike shop, and they had to put a wrench in the axle and put vice grips gripped on the outside of the axle, like a big wrench too. And they had to have two guys come and pull on both of them to break it free. It was very stuck.
what did you torque that at?
My hand,
Oh,
I was
you
so confused.
you remember the woman that you met outside the coffee shop that
Yeah,
I gave my code? So she ended up
uh-huh.
buying a Segla and she got it in the glacial white, which is like that's a slick color, you know?
Yeah.
And she texts me and she sent a picture of the bike and I was like, "Oh, sweet, like nice setup." And then she was like wasn't thrilled about the color, but it's growing on me. And I'm like, "It's white." Like I didn't say anything back. And I was like, "What do you mean?" So that was kind of whack.
That is interesting to not. White is pretty white on the internet and in person.
Yeah. Well,
Did I see that Lauf released new colors a little bit ago?
yeah, they came out with an obsidian black, which is different than your like black bike because it's like I think it's matte and then has like a gray logo. It looks really slick.
Yeah, It is pretty sweet. I was looking into replacing my pulley wheel, and I think I might order red ones to match my black and red.
Nice.
Well, good conversation this week. Anyone else got anything to add?
Nope.
I don't think so.
We made it to an hour 2 weeks in a row. We're so good at this.
I didn't have hope for this week, to be honest.
Neither did I. But we found a way to talk about critical power. I'm definitely going to look into that some more. Well, see y'all next week.
Okay.